We urged Red to stay on the boat, but she refused. As we got closer to Texel Island, we moved carefully. At the opening in the ring of islands, searchlights lit the sea like day. I said, "We have two choices, climb over the mountains or swim in." "Red, you cannot do either. Go back to the boat." She made a sound, "Climb or swim, tell me I can do it." Knowing she would not move, I stopped talking about it. Song Jian said, "Climbing is better, but we will still need to swim after." He looked at Red, hinting she should return to the boat. She yelled, "You think I cannot swim? I will show you." Song Fu made things smoother. Red is a strong swimmer. She can handle a long swim. Red smiled in a mean way. "See, justice wins." We rowed the small boat away from the opening, stayed close to the rocks, and stopped. We left the boat and climbed the steep cliff. Red was surprisingly quick. By midnight, we had crossed the top of the ridge. At the top, we saw something strange in the sea below, 2 lines of water, like fish swimming fast, but moving at machine-like speed. We tried to see better, but the lines disappeared as if they had gone underwater. Looking towards Texel Island, it was about 700 or 800 yards, a possible swim for strong swimmers. The island's lights moved here and there, suggesting most of the Hook gang was asleep. This hinted, as Song Fu had guessed, that no treasure had been found, no celebration had happened. I felt a little respect for Song Fu. When Song Jian and I saw the iron chest, we thought the Hook gang had the treasure. Song Fu, not at the scene, kept a calmer mind, proof that people not involved see things more clearly. We took off clothes we did not need, hiding them in a cave. Song Fu said, "Whether we wear these again depends on whether we survive." His negative thoughts surprised me, but Red interrupted, "Professor, that's not funny." Song Fu shrugged, silent. We jumped into the sea. The midnight water felt fresh and cool. Red swam with a graceful breaststroke. Song Jian and Song Fu used a traditional Chinese style, moving quickly. I used the modern dolphin kick, keeping up easily. After 100 or 200 yards, strength became important. Red slowed, and Song Fu grabbed her arm to help her keep up. Suddenly, a massive boom shook Texel Island. The force of the blast was huge. The calm sea became rough as we looked towards the island. Rocks and flames shot into the sky, like a volcano erupting. The calm water turned wild with huge waves. The power of the waves was unstoppable, throwing us back 100 yards. As they hit, the world spun, water filled our mouths, and we were tossed up and down like toys in a storm. It felt like hell itself. When the waves became calmer, I opened my eyes. Another wave, 10 feet high, came towards us with a very loud crash. I looked back, feeling like ants in a child's bathtub, helpless against the flood. Song Jian shouted, "Stay together." He swam to me, and I grabbed Song Fu. As we connected, the wave hit us. We sank, seeing nothing, hearing nothing but the loud noise. Then a force threw us upward, high into the air, like water jets in a fountain, before we fell back down. This time, the fall was not as deep. We stayed floating but were far from Texel Island, pushed back to the ring of islands. We crawled ashore, very tired. Red fell onto the rocks, breathing hard, barely able to stand. We 3 men, stronger, stood quickly, looking at Texel Island. 2 spots on the island let out smoke and burned, with loud sounds and confused shouts. People ran back and forth. We stood surprised. Red spoke first. "What the hell happened?" Song Jian said, "We don't know. Maybe 2 explosions." Song Fu hit his leg. "Right. Remember those strange water lines we saw from the ridge?" Red asked, "Torpedoes?" I shook my head. "No way. Even the Philippine government would not send submarines." Song Fu said, "Then what caused it?" Song Jian guessed, "Maybe their bullets or fuel storage blew up." As we spoke, we watched the island. The smoke became thicker, and a deep rumbling sound was heard, not from the sky, but from deep inside the island. A cold feeling hit me. "Song Fu, you know this is part of the Pacific volcanic area." He nodded. "I thought of that. Those blasts might be natural, not made by humans." Red screamed, "A volcano erupting?" Song Fu said, "Could be a small one or the start of a big one." We became quiet. Then we saw dozens of small boats, dinghies, rafts running from Texel Island, about 80 in total, carrying 2 to 5 people each. The rafts and dinghies had not gone 200 yards when a sharp engine sound cut through the air. A speedboat moved forward fast, making huge waves that overturned 12 nearby small boats. It stopped at the opening in the ring of islands. From our high place, we saw 2 heavy machine guns mounted on the speedboat's front, with gunners. Another person stood there, holding a loudspeaker. Though too far to see his face, we soon heard Ricardo's very angry voice making a loud sound over the water. "Go back! Go back!" he shouted. "Anyone who comes near the exit, I will order the guns to fire." Some boats slowed, but 20 or 30 rafts and dinghies kept moving forward. Ricardo kept shouting, "Go back! Go back!" But they ignored him. We could now clearly see Ricardo at the front, wanting very much to stop his men from running away after the terrible events on Texel Island. As their leader, he did not want a few small volcanic eruptions to make his followers leave. The boats that did not obey came closer to the opening. Ricardo waved sharply. "Shoot!" Many bullets cut through the air. Water shot up across the sea, a terrible sight. Some shots came back from the boats, but in 10 minutes, every boat that did not obey had sunk. Those on board were probably dead, the moonlight water stained with red patches. Song Jian took a breath. "Ricardo is cruel." Song Fu shrugged. "Hook gang members are all desperate criminals. No loss." I said, 300 or 400 must have died from those guns. Song Fu replied, "Who told them to fear death?" After the killing, many rafts stopped on the water, some still floating from the island. 3 more speedboats joined Ricardo's, forming a line to block the exit. These were clearly his loyal men. His voice was heard again, "Everyone, go back to the island. We have nowhere else to go." Someone on a nearby raft shouted, "The island is erupting. We will turn to ash." Ricardo said sharply, "This island's shape comes from old eruptions, but Texel is a dead volcano now." Another yelled, "Dead volcanoes don't make fire." Others cried, "The ground is shaking, mountains are moving, and being out here is a chance to live. Staying is waiting to die." Ricardo shouted loudly, "I say we stay. Anyone who wants to leave, row over here." Silence fell over the sea. Then, 8 machine guns made loud sounds, shooting fire and making water columns. Even criminals would be scared by this. The guns shot for 2 minutes, more effective than hours of talking. The remaining rafts turned back towards Texel Island. Once they were gone, Ricardo's 4 speedboats followed. We watched, feeling happier. Song Fu said, "Now Ricardo is literally sitting on a volcano." I nodded. He can control his men at sea with those guns, but their leaving will be hard to stop. Song Jian added, 2 more blasts like that, and they are finished." Red asked, "You are saying the eruptions help us?" I said, "Not exactly, but they are a disaster for the Hook gang." Red asked strongly, "So, are we going to the island or not?" Song Jian, Song Fu, and I thought about it. Song Jian said, "Given this, the Hook gang will fall apart without us doing anything. Let's wait and see." I said, "You 3 stay here. I will check the island." Song Fu, "Give me the Tulonini." Song Fu protested, "Why you? Why not me?" Red interrupted, "Count me in." Song Jian said, "Not you, Miss Wang. The 3 of us will draw lots." Red protested loudly, but Song Fu said, "Red, if I win, I will take you along. Better chances for you." She nodded. Red made the lots. The longest one goes to the island alone. I drew the long lot. Red gave me a sad, pleading look, clearly hoping I would take her. I ignored her, shrugged, and jumped into the water. I swam towards Texel Island, diving underwater as I got closer, only coming up when I touched the rocks on the island's side. I climbed up and crossed a ridge. From the top, I saw a crowd gathered on another hill, where a large hole still let out smoke. Dawn had come. I thought that must be last night's eruption site, but doubts came in. I had seen many volcano holes, active and dead, all with a lifeless feeling that made me think of death and how small humans are against nature. This hole looked different, just a pit, like one from a 2,000-pound bomb. And the huge waves we had felt at sea? A volcano or earthquake could explain them, but we were far from the shore. Even a huge bomb should not have caused such waves. I looked at the hole, thinking. The people around it kept their distance, pointing nervously. Though I could not see their faces, their body language showed fear. I did not stay long, going down to the base. 2 Hook Gang members came closer. I got ready to move or hit, but they passed without noticing me, speaking quietly in scared voices. "The end is here," and walked on. With over 1,000 Hook Gang members, they could not all know each other, but they would notice a stranger. Their failure to notice me showed how much the eruption had scared them, probably thinking the island was sinking. The thought made me feel cold. In the Pacific volcanic area, islands sinking was not strange. I continued, meeting more sad gang members. Soon, I reached the island's largest building, a steel and concrete warehouse. A quiet crowd of Hook Gang members looked at it. Ricardo lived inside, and their position was clearly a protest. Ricardo knew it too. The warehouse doors were closed tightly, machine guns mounted on the roof. I walked around the warehouse to the dock, where I stopped. The dock was broken from the blast. The 2 water tanks were gone, one well had fallen in, the other was roughly fitted with a pump. Poisoning a deep well was impossible, my Tulonini was useless. I walked around the island for almost 2 hours. The confusion and fear meant no one noticed me. Ricardo and his loyal men, maybe 100, had blocked themselves inside the warehouse. I could not find Bai Kiwei or know what happened to him. Staying longer was useless. I crossed the ridge, swam back to the ring of islands, and found Song Jian, Song Fu, and Red. I told them what I had seen. Song Jian said, "It looks like the Hook Gang will leave Texel Island sooner or later." Song Fu added, "Right? 2 more blasts like that, and it will be faster. I am sure they are coming." He emphasized volcanic eruption. I understood. Song Fu, "You are so sure? You think the blast was made by humans?" He nodded. "Exactly. But the waves?" I asked. "Let's wait," he said. "Next explosion, we will see clearly. Last time, we were in the water." I was not sure if Song Fu was right, but one thing I knew, that hole was not like any I had seen. With no water source to poison, we could only wait on the ring of islands. Around noon, another cloud of thick smoke rose from Texel Island. The 4 of us stood together, frozen, as a very loud boom was heard, and a huge wave moved across the sea. As the wave rose, flames burst through the black smoke, with a very loud rumbling sound. Song Fu clapped and laughed. "Someone is playing a brilliant trick." I realized then the volcanic eruption was made by humans. Even a real eruption would not come so suddenly, and the wave should not have hit the moment the smoke appeared. But this mistake, I was sure, would not be noticed by Ricardo. He would be too scared on the island to see. The rumbling lasted half an hour, with smoke covering the island. Red, still confused, asked Song Fu for an explanation. He said, "Someone is using a dead volcano hole, putting explosives in it to pretend it's erupting and break the Hook Gang." Before he finished, Song Jian shouted, "It must be old Bai." I added, "Who else could it be?" Song Fu's reaction was less excited. "If it's old Bai, his plan is clever but dangerous. If that hole has any active parts, it could start a real, very bad eruption or earthquake. This island could sink in hours, not surprising in the Pacific volcanic area." His serious voice and repeated "hard to say" were not meant to scare. Given the situation, he did not need to make things sound worse.